Today I'm going to make a recipe that I found on Prairie Homestead. They're on her blog, and she's in Wyoming, and so I will leave the link below to this recipe. It is to make homemade sausage. So she said when they did their pork, they didn't have time to season it, and so they just ground it and put it away. That's basically what we did with our turkey. And she states in her recipe that you can use any kind of meat. If you're not using pork or some other meat that's got a lot more grease in it, then it can be drier. And we found that when we made some blueberry sausage, that it wasn't as moist as regular pork sausage. And so a lot of times what I do, and I'll link you to the one where we processed our chickens. That way, that way, that way. And where we ground up all the breasts and made ground beef for them, because we don't love the white meat. Some people love it and we don't. So, but at the farmer's market, I was able to buy ground lamb, and the one thing she told me is, if we're not used to it, that it carries more grease than other ground meat. So I thought, well, this would be perfect. So I'm combining ground lamb and ground turkey to make our homemade sausage. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got all of it in here, and I'm going to just kind of break it up. This is the lamb. This is my turkey, and I'm just going to mix it together first before I add any of the other ingredients into it. Now I'm adding, she says a small onion. This is half of a large onion, and I love onions. In here is a tablespoon of sea salt, 2 tablespoons of ground sage, a teaspoon of ground mustard, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper, ground pepper. And then the last thing is a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. For goodness. And then she says, just get your hands in there and make it all together. You can make these into patties right now and cook them, but if they sit for a longer period of time, then the flavors all mix together and make them more desirable. So the recipe calls for 3 pounds of ground meat, and it can be, I mean, she even says it can be antelope, it can be anything, and I always like a mixture of mine. With my ground turkey, most of the time when I use it, I will put ground pork in with it, just for added flavor and added moisture. So, of course, I can take these now and just form them into patties. What I'm going to do is get some parchment paper and cut it into little squares, or put it in here so that these patties can be kept, and see how beautiful that is. And we will see if we feel like that has enough flavor. So I might want to do is go ahead and cook up this and see if it's got as much of the sage and the different flavors in it that we like. So one for me and one for Jim, and we'll try it. So this made 2 dozen breakfast size sausages. You can also use this sausage to just brown it and cook it into big chunks for biscuits and gravy. And if you know about me and biscuits and gravy, I like big chunks of turkey. And, I like big chunks of sausage in my gravy so that you can see it. This was a video when we were at Justin Rhodes. Now I've just put them all into a container. They're all made. I can put them in the freezer and pull a couple out whenever I need them. Me and electric stoves. It doesn't get hot, and then it gets hot. I can actually smell the lamb as it's cooking, and I've turned it way down now. In fact, I'm going to pull it off because that's what I have to do on electric stoves until I, at some point, get my propane range. So now I'm just going to cook it slowly and simmer it until it's done all the way through. So I got a sourdough slice of bread that I got from someone at the farmer's market. My egg with grass-fed cheese melting over the top, and my sausage. Pour us some raw milk. And how's that for a nice little snack?
Okay, the sandwich, wow, over the top good.
It was
amazing.
Okay, the sausage was perfect. The seasoning was perfect.
You know, the blending of two meats in a sausage, what it does to the flavoring
all the
and the
seasonings
quality.
were great.
Yeah.
Then you put it on that egg with the cheese on the top. That was the Kerrygold cheese with the grass-fed.
Yep.
And then we had it on a little bit of sourdough bread that was homemade.
Hit the spot.
Oh my!
It makes eating a pleasure. It's a celebration.
It was delish.
Yeah.
We highly recommend it.
Works good.
Here is a follow-up from the light that I had done where I had stenciled. Here we go. Right up there. And Jim's gonna turn the light on. And I'll stand back so you can see it like that. It is so cool. We love it. Today we had an incredible opportunity to walk the property. We stood beneath this amazing sycamore tree, and the magnitude of it was just staggering to us. It's so tall, but as you will see in a moment, the trunk was absolutely amazing. And so we decided to call this tree General Lee, because it's probably been here since the Civil War. It's just incredibly awe-inspiring.
And this trunk, as you can see as we walk around it, just a lot of character there, as well as size, which I wish we could have compared it, had one of us standing next to it so you could get a sense for exactly how large it is. It's majestic.
And so as we did this little walk, Jim decided to go back into the deeper part closer to the creek. And the creek is close in a lot of places, but this particular place it wasn't. And back in there was like another secret garden, wasn't it, Jim?
Lots of trees, shrubs, all kinds of plants, animal paths going everywhere. Wonderful, wonderful. It's our own private park.
It was. That's what we said as we walked around. And we turned around and we looked at our property. And it was impossible to not be emotional at what we have and the gratitude that we feel for it. We are so very blessed.